Hello my friends. I've been following the coronavirus thing, as many of you probably have, and it really brings a few lessons to the forefront. I wanted to share with you today what it has brought out for me, at least. First, I want to say that despite the fear that can be out there, this is not the one that is going to wipe out the human race. It doesn't mean at some point, as we continue to create higher and higher population density, that we're not going to continue to have some big issues with things like this. Because there's so many of us packed into small places, well, that really creates a breeding ground for all kinds of little bugs. So this is not the end of the world as we know it, and yet it is. And I'll explain how. First, I don't want to belittle the situation that is happening, especially in China. And the cruise boats. Boy, I would not want to be on one of those cruise ships. As is often the case, the disease is probably less frightening for a lot of people than the human response to it. We have become very, very good at living in fear. And it sells. If we make videos, if we make news programs about how this is going to wipe out the human race, then we're probably going to get more views. If we are speaking moderately, people aren't as excited about hearing that. I'm not quite sure why that is. My hypothesis is that in our modern life, we're just missing so much. Your ancestors, as I often say, they went out and they hunted mammoths with stone spears. Except for some extreme free climbers and other people, we never get that sort of adventure or excitement in our lives. And so we have created a whole media giant thing that gives us entertainment. And entertainment during a movie, and especially during these newscasts, which are purported to be much more real than the movies, we are given really strong doses of drama. We're given our saber-toothed tigers, we're given our mammoths, and that feeds something inside of us. And so we find ourselves often going back again and again to these messages of fear. But these messages of fear have a profound effect on our life. It is not harmless to be intaking that mental food. Just like it's not harmless to eat Twinkies all day or to go to McDonald's and eat fast food hamburgers. To be intaking this strong fear-based negativity, it's going to affect our minds. It is going to make us more anxious. It's going to make us more fearful in life. It's going to make us more distrustful. Here, as usual, I'm calling us out to say, be aware of what we're intaking from our media. As we think about the media and the news, we don't know how good of a picture that we're getting of the real situation. We all know that the news is extremely filtered. And it's done for various reasons, strongly financial often. But the fact is that there are so many factors at play with this coronavirus that we have no idea what the real numbers are. But if we're going to talk about being scared of something, we often have the wrong fears. I've talked about this in other videos. It's very easy to be afraid of sharks. It's not very easy to be afraid of, well, getting in your car and driving to work. The news reports are saying the coronavirus has killed 2,000 plus people so far. Let's even imagine that it's 10 times that number. However, those cars, do you know how many people are killed in car accidents worldwide? Well, it's over 3,200 a day. There's a much greater chance that someone you love, or that you, or me, that we're going to die in a car accident than from contracting this coronavirus. So being aware of what we fear, what we consider to be risks, and seeing if I'm harboring fear about the coronavirus, that is a very definitive sign that I've been intaking media, and that media is feeding a cycle of fear inside of me. For the prepper inside of us, this has a lesson to show us that the end of the world is not necessarily going to be a very fast or very evident thing. And this is a consideration as we think about our bug out plans or prepping plans. There could be a meteor that lands tonight, and it's very quick and it's very obvious what happens on the earth. But in general, the end of the world may come slowly. In the case of a pandemic, we can see that even the coronavirus, which we know is very, very able to spread, it's very contagious, it spreads relatively slowly. At what point are we going to say, all right, I'm going to call my boss and tell him I'm not coming into work, I'm going to gather up all my stuff, I'm going to head out into the woods, and when do we make that decision? This is something to consider if you're a prepper in your prepping plans. At what point do you consider it to be time to execute your bug out plans? Because these things can unfold so slowly. Is it when the first person in your town gets sick? Is it when there's 100 people sick? What is that boundary? I'm speaking here momentarily to preppers because that is a group of people that sometimes can become very fear-based. And if I let myself become fear-based, always waiting in dread for the end of the world, it's not going to give me a really high quality of life. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that instead of a, oh my gosh, the end of the world, that we take on more of an adventurer mindset. Imagine you're making a bug out pack. If I put together a bug out pack and I do it in a state of fearfulness, thinking tomorrow might be the day, this is, and I'm sweating while I do it, and then I hang it in my closet. Whenever I open that closet and I glance that, our brain, our mind, it remembers patterns. It remembers influences. And every time I even just get the tiniest glimpse of that, it's going to send a little bit of that fear energy, that fear juice into me. It's going to release chemicals in my brain that are fear-inducing. And that is going to affect my quality of life. I can guarantee it's going to affect how you relate to other people. It's going to affect how we feel inside. It's going to affect our health. Because living in a chronic state of stress, in a chronic state of fear or worry, just is not natural to our species. We evolved to deal with immediate threats. If coronavirus is at your doorstep, there you go. It's an immediate threat. But for many of us, our mind, as Rebecca's often fond of saying, I think she read it from a neurologist, our mind does not know the difference between a real threat and an imagined threat. So if I'm imagining this threat all the time, I'm thinking about that bug out bag in my closet, I create this constant drain inside of me. Now what if I take that backpack and I put it together with a sense of adventure, and I say, this is super cool. And sometimes I'm going to go out and I'm going to test myself and test my skills with this bug out pack. I'm going to lug it up into the mountains and I'm going to see if I can do a 3-day survival thing just with what's in my pack. Now you start to take on a sense of adventure. You're still prepared. You're still prepping. But now when you glimpse it in your closet, the chemicals released are going to be chemicals of life is adventurous. Wow. And that is going to create a completely different, minuscule, yes, subtle, yes, but a completely different effect that will build up over time. And this is the key to how coronavirus can teach us about the end of the world. Because the end of the world is every day. If we want to get more Zen about it, it's every moment. When I say it's every day, it's because our life is changing every single day. That car accident, that can change everything tomorrow. A diagnosis of cancer, a monetary windfall. Today, I lost my grandmother. My world is not the same as it was yesterday. And that is the end of the world as I knew it. Now, I've entered into a new world. This can be a fearful thing if we're always waiting for that disaster to happen. But if I get a little Zen, and I think every moment is the end of the world as I knew it, an entrance into a brand new world, then life becomes marvelous. We could all die tomorrow. The Vogons could come, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and they could wipe out the Earth for the interstellar bypass, and that's it. That's all we got to enjoy. There can be that personal thing that happens tomorrow that changes your world. But this moment right here is the one we're in, and we always have the choice of whether we're going to embrace it and love it and take it on with a sense of adventure, or we are going to accept our cultural training and we are going to be in a state of fear, of worry, of trepidation, of our mind spending most of its time not enjoying the food we're eating or the company of the people we're with, but instead being locked into thoughts of, oh, what will this and this and this, all these worries. That's how we train ourselves into anxiety, and our culture trains us into it. We have to consciously make a choice, a different choice, than the one our culture is presenting to us as normal. I would call upon all of you to make this choice consciously and to spread it with your actions. If you make videos, to make your videos embrace that sense of adventure. They do not have to ignore realities. I still can build the bug out pack. It's got the same stuff in it. It's just as effective. But I've done it with a different attitude. I'm not spreading fear. This is so prevalent in our culture. And it is degrading our lives, it's degrading our health, it's degrading our relationships, it's degrading our ability to connect with each other, because we learn to fear each other. That is not the way for us to be owned by fear. We are not here to fear. We're here to be present with this moment in life. So let the world come. It will bring good, it will bring bad. But we have the choice right now how we're going to live. Share with me, my friends, your thoughts on this matter, how you have shifted your mind away from fear, or if your mind is locked into fear and caught, what that feels like. Probably most of us know it. Most of us have been in that state of anxiety or fear sometime in our lives. And I think we all know deep down how habitual it can become. This is the time for us to come into our best selves. This world is going to have trouble. It really is. Unless we can turn things around. And that's a personal responsibility that falls onto every single one of us. I'm sending love to you all, and the hopes that the end of your world can come in this next moment, and that you can enter into a world that is more positive, more loving, more curiosity and adventure based. Can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments.